This is VFL Weekly Wrap for round 12. I went to 3 games, but first, the other results. No games on Friday again. Alright, starting on Saturday, Sydney defeated Southport by 36 points at Fankhauser Reserve, 17-16, 118 to 12-10, 82. For Sydney, Nick Shipley, 31 possessions, 11 tackles, 9 clearances. The big man, Peter Adams, 28 possessions, 27 hitouts, 9 clearances and a goal. For Southport, Jacob Dawson, 34 possessions, 9 clearances, 2 goals. Sydney also beat them there last year, so 2 years in a row. Southport in big trouble now. Now, Cardinia Park, an absolute belting. Top team Geelong beat Gold Coast by 113 points, 22-15, 147 to 5-4, 34. The Suns actually had 50 more hitouts. Didn't make much difference. Geelong, 29 more inside 50s. For Geelong, James Warple, 36 possessions, 9 tackles, 13 clearances, 2 goals. Surely his chance of AFL's coming up. For the Suns, Alex Sexton, 35 possessions, 14 marks. Jared Witts, 64 hitouts. Suns stuck on 2 wins. Geelong have won their last 7 and are absolutely cruising. Now an upset at the Whitten Oval. Sandringham knocked off Footscray at the Whitten Oval 2nd year in a row. They won by 11 points, 8-11-59 to 6-12-48. Now for Sandringham, Nathan Philtides, 35 possessions. Kyle Cooper, 35 possessions as well. They've lost 2 years in a row, their Footscray to Sandringham. Of course, Saturday, the weather wasn't exactly fantastic on Saturday. Actually, the rain came later on. But again, there was rain during the week and it was windy and cold and overcast. Footscray have lost 6 of the last 7 games. They're in big trouble. Sandringham, they've won 4 games and 3 of them have been away. They've won in Brisbane, they've won in Frankston, and they've now won in Footscray. Amazing. Now, a game in Launceston saw Tasmania belt up on Richmond by 63 points, 11-19-85 to 3-4-22. Tasmania had 100 more possessions, 26 more inside 50s, 48 more marks. Mate, Richmond only took 33 marks in that match. Very low. Also, the weather wasn't good in Tasmania, like Victoria. For Tasmania, Joy Menzies, 36 possessions and a goal. Richmond have lost 6 of their last 7 games. They're not playing finals this year. They've been competitive, but not good enough. 2 in injuries. Tasmania, good record at home this year, 5-2. Now, Frill at Point Gellibrand saw Williamstown beat GWS by 10 points, 14-9-93 to 11-17-83. Williamstown dominated the hitouts and clearances. The game changed in the 3rd quarter when Williamstown kicked 8 goals. They got on one of those runs again at Point Gellibrand. That was the difference. Now for the Giants, Jack O had 31 possessions, 24 of them were handballs, 7 tackles, 8 clearances. The ruckman for Willie, Alex Merkel, 43 hitouts, 10 clearances. Williamstown end a run of outs. They're still alive now. They needed that win. GWS, another loss. It was a big win for Willie, important win. This game was on Sunday. Casey beat Essendon by 32 points at Casey Fields, 16-11, 107 to 11-9, 75. This is an amazing stat. Casey have won the last 12 games against Essendon in VFL level. Amazing. Now, all of Casey's 5 wins this year have all been at Casey Fields. I went to 3 games, as I said. Before I get into that, just subscribe to my channel, Kirk Gench 8878. Press the like button. Now, I went to Werribee, Chirnside Park on Saturday. Werribee defeated Brisbane by 26 points, 12-16, 88 to 9-8-62. Werribee 4-1 first quarter, 4 each in the 2nd quarter. Brisbane 3 goals, 2 in the 3rd quarter. Werribee kicked 7 behinds. But the last quarter, Werribee ran away with it. 4-3 to 1-4. The major goal kickers for the Bees. Anthony Di Pasquale kicked 4. Jack Riding 3. Brady Wright 2. For Brisbane, Reece Thompson, Fergus McFadden, and Curtis McCarthy kicked 2 each. The possessions, Charlie Lazaro, 28 possessions, 7 clearances for Werribee. Zane Kieran, 26 possessions, 12 marks. Jack Riding, 24 possessions, 3 goals. Adrian Kwalmun, 35 hitouts, 9 clearances. As I said, Anthony Di Pasquale, quite surprisingly, playing his first game for the year. He's a good player, this bloke. He's in his second year, but this guy, he can play a bit. He just dominated this game. He was the difference. He had 19 possessions. He took 7 marks. He kicked 4 goals free and kicked 1 out on the full. He could have easily had 6 in this game. They just couldn't match up on this guy. He was very good up forward for Werribee. There were hardly any winners for Brisbane. It was just a good team effort from them. Credible effort for Brisbane. Sam Marshall, 24 possessions, 8 clearances for them. Werribee had 86 more possessions, 14 more inside 50s, 42 more marks. So they kind of dominated this game. Now, in the first 7 minutes of the game, Werribee were 3 goals too. And it just looked like, mate, they're going to win this by 100 points. I expected Werribee to win this game by at least 10 goals plus. They're flying, they're at home, playing against a bottom team with no one but academy players now. But they just had a red hot crack, Brisbane. But after that 7 minutes first quarter, I think Brisbane I don't think Werribee's intensity was as good as last week against Coburg. I thought Werribee were a little bit off. And Brisbane sort of gained more confidence, got into the game more. I just didn't think Werribee applied themselves 100% in that game. They never looked like they were going to lose a game. They always had that game in their bag, in their pocket, but this was not a convincing performance from Werribee. I think they'll be slightly disappointed in that match. Now that wind, well, I don't think there was much difference. It was a bit windy, but not too much. Didn't favour either end. The ground was in great condition again, and I must say, the crowd again, second week in a row, was pathetic. That was a very poor crowd. So that's 2 weeks in a row they haven't drawn in crowds, but it has been cold, so could be cost of living, could be anything. Slightly disappointing crowd. It was a cagey match. It wasn't pretty. Not one for the archives. Brisbane had a red-hot crack. Full credit to them. They had nothing to lose. They applied themselves well, but they were never winning that game. 7 behinds in the third quarter for Werribee. They just couldn't kick straight. They should have blown that game wide open. But they missed some sitters in that third quarter. And then they applied themselves well in the last quarter, Werribee, 4 goals to 1. They did well, and the damage was done. It's a good win. Put it in the bag. Piss off. Forget about it. They got the bye next week. Prepare for the other game. Next game. Head-to-head, Werribee lead Brisbane 3-2. 3-0 at Chirnside Park. Now, Brisbane have lost their last 7 games. Werribee have now won their last 4. And at home, Werribee 4 wins, 1 draw, 1 loss. So it's the fortress again. Enough of that. Now, a doubleheader on Sunday. I went to Arden Street. I saw an absolute nail-biter. North Melbourne and St Kilda drew. North Melbourne 13-8-86. St Kilda 11-20-86. 2 goals to 1 in the first quarter for the Saints. North Melbourne 4 goals to 1 in the second. St Kilda 4 goals, 7 to 2-1 in the third. Last quarter was very entertaining. North Melbourne 6-1 to 4-3. For North Melbourne, James Tarrant kicked 4. Oliver Griffin 3. Lockie Devaston kicked 2. For St Kilda, Liam Henry 3. Jaden Davey 2. The possessions for North. Matt Keys 33 possessions, 9 clearances. Robert Hanson Jr. 32 possessions and a goal. Aidan Core 26 possessions, 12 marks. Callum Coleman-Jones 22 possessions, 22 hitouts, 10 clearances and a goal. For the Saints, Paddy Dow had another good game, 32 possessions, 6 clearances. Mateus Philippou, 28 possessions, 9 clearances. North Melbourne had 55 more possessions, 49 more marks, but St Kilda had 11 more inside 50s. Now that wind was blowing towards the Footscray end. I reckon it would have been worth 2 goals at least. St Kilda didn't use it in the first quarter well. North used it in the second. St Kilda absolutely botched that third quarter. They kicked 4 goals, 7, and they're only 10 points up at three-quarter time or thereabouts. They should have been 4 or 5 goals up and put the game to bed. They missed so many easy shots in that third quarter, and it bit them in the arse basically, because North Melbourne kicked 6 in the last quarter. Mate, North Melbourne probably should have won this game as well, because they looked like they had the game one kicking with the win. 13 points up at the 25-minute mark, and then St Kilda went bang bang. And then Isaac Keeler had the chance to win the game in the dying seconds and went across the face. Probably a fitting result, to be honest. Neither side wanted to win that game. It was a cagey affair as well. Mate, surprisingly, very good crowd there. Obviously, people had nothing to do that day. It was a close game all the way, basically. North had to win that game. St Kilda in good form. But it was an incredible result, a draw. I've seen 2 draws now this year. That's the first meeting between these two teams since 1896. And that was also at Arden Street. Amazing. Saints are unbeaten in their last 5. North Melbourne at Arden Street, 3 wins and a draw, so they haven't lost there. Now, I went down the road to Coburg. Started the second half. I watched Coburg beat Frankston by 15 points at Coburg City Oval. 12-7, 79-9, 10-64. Coburg were 4 goals up at halftime. 7 goals to 3. So obviously Frankston did nothing. But they came to light in the third quarter. 5-4 to 3 goals. Last quarter, Coburg 2-2 to 1-1. For Coburg, Matt Ellison kicked 4. Jane Stevenson 3. Mason Goodman 2. For Frankston, Harrison Jones, Noah Gown, Corey Ellison 2 each. The possessions for Coburg, Lachlan Walker, 30 possessions and a goal. Jack Vitale, 30 touches and 7 tackles. Joel Trident, 28 possessions, 8 clearances. Ingo Dammer-Smith, 14 marks. Will Hall, 12 marks. For Frankston, Trent Mine at 32 possessions and a goal. Jackson Voss, 28 touches and 10 marks. Will Hamill, 20 possessions, 11 marks. Coburg had 92 more possessions. Look at the hit-out count, 35 to 12. Not many hit-outs. Frankston won the free kick count, 33 to 24. Now, Matt Ellison kicked 2 clutch goals in the last quarter when the game was on the line. They were the last 2 goals of the game. Now, Frankston came at him in the last quarter. They absolutely dominated possession and territorial in the territory. They just kept bombing it in. Coburg, very good defending. Excellent. They stood firm when the pressure was on. They got the win they had to get. Frankston were in good form. Frankston were clueless going forward. That was a very poor last quarter by them. And I must say the crowd was average as well. So the conditions weren't exactly great. The ground in great condition as well. It was just a good, scrappy, suburban game of football, this. This is what you want to see. 2 local sides at it. Now, Frankston's 6-game streak against Coburg has ended. Head-to-head, Frankston lead 44-39. Coburg have won their last 4 at home now. Unexpected loss by Frankston. The ladder, Geelong on top, 10-1, 2.5 games clear. Look at their percentage, 175. The next best is 117 or something. Ridiculous. Werribee 7.5 wins, Box Hill 7, Tassie 6.5, Sydney, GWS, Williamstown, Frankston, Coburg, Port Melbourne all on 6 wins. St Kilda 5.5, Carlton, Southport, Eston, Casey 5 wins. North Melbourne, don't write them off, 4.5. Footscray, Sandy 4 wins. Don't write Footscray off. The rest are done. Richmond, Collingwood, Suns, Brisbane, they're garbage. Just 2.5 wins separating 14 teams. 7 teams have won 6 games. 5 teams have won 5 games. Interesting ladder. Now, round 13, there are 9 games. 4 teams have the bye. Essendon, Werribee, Brisbane, Sydney. There's 2 games on Friday. Gold Coast against Box Hill. Frankston home against Collingwood at Frankston. Should be interesting. Saturday, there's only 3 games. Southport against Geelong should be interesting. Williamstown, Casey, GWS, Carlton. Sunday, I'm going to Coburg, Port Melbourne. Sandringham, Tasmania. St Kilda, Footscray. Richmond, North Melbourne. That game might get moved, but we'll know later in the week. Very interesting games in round 13. I'll see you next week.